Good morning. Good morning, both here in the sanctuary and over the airwaves in YouTube live land. You're not here in person, but your presence is felt. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida, on the unceded ancestral lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole Native Americans. My name is Ben Atherton-Zeman, and I'm the minister here. I am so excited to bring you today's worship service, Unsanctioned Love, along with our UU St. Pete Choir, who will perform for you later, and today's first-time worship associate, William Cowan.
Beautiful new day. Beautiful new day to you all. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. If you want a church where we believe that woman whose womb we come from is meant to be adored and her rights as a human being honored, the lives of all people, all flavors of sexuality and color matter, and that no being on this land is illegal, even the lost little brothers who stole this land from the indigenous people, I have good news. You have found your church home.
Thanks, William. We have two announcements this morning. How about I say one and you say two? The first is we're going to have a Valentine's Day party. I think most of you are aware of this. It's going to be right there in Gilmore Hall. You are invited because love is the spirit of this church.
The racial justice team is meeting after worship in Conway Hall at 11:50. All announcements?
That's it. You have more announcements, but they are printed in your order of service, and we have a weekly newsletter and a Facebook page. We are people of diverse theological beliefs, but we do share a common faith that what we do in this world matters, that we are connected to one another and to the earth. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey, you're welcome here. And I'm looking in particular at the newcomers. We have some newcomers here today. Would you wave your hand a little bit if you're a newcomer? See, you're not the only one. If you want, you can stand up and William will bring the microphone to you and you can say something and introduce yourself. And I already see one guy go, no, I'm not doing that, and I'm doing that. Thank you for being willing to do so. It's fine that you're not. Thank you for not. All right. All right, your mic is off, so let's swap it out. Or turn it on. We're already modeling imperfection. You're welcome.
My name is Lee. I told a bit of a fib. I've been here at least 5 times. Friends with Trish Harding. Go to Sacred Lands in Tocobaga. We honor them there as well. I came to the Christmas Eve service, which was delightful. I'm here in part, I want to be a part of this congregation. The other part is I'm the president of the Theosophical Lodge of St. Pete, and we're talking to Kelly about partnering by us moving here. And if you're not familiar with that, I'm sure you'll hear more from us. So,
Thank you, Leah.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I was here last week, but I didn't stand up. I wanted to say hello, and I am fortunate enough to be a lifetime UU. I was brought up in Huntington, Long Island, the UU Fellowship of Huntington. I can't tell if I'm loud or not. I can't hear out of one ear. Okay. So I was brought up as a Unitarian Universalist, and I'm just happy to be here. So
Great.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
I'm Derek. This is my wife, Kate. We are snowbird refugees from Portland, Maine, and we bring you greetings from the UU Church in Portland, Maine.
Thank you. My wife Lucinda and I met in Lewiston, Maine. Well, we got one over there, and then Nick's up front.
Purple suits you so well. It's a beautiful color. Hi everyone. My name's Electra. My pronouns are she, they, and Aisha, and I'm here with my father Tim. And I was raised in Siddha Yoga, which is like it's following a specific guru within a Hindu tradition that's like most rooted in Kashmiri Shaivism. But I went to the Siddha Yoga Center in Sarasota for the first time in like years recently, and then I was inspired to come here and check it out because I identify mostly as a panentheistic or pantheistic omnist. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to be in community with folks who respect the land and each other as family. So thank you all.
Thanks for being here. We got folks who come from Sarasota.
Good morning. My name is Richard Kent. I'm a member of the UU congregation in Farmington Hills, Florida. Michigan. Farmington Hills, Michigan. I'm semi-retired about 5 years ago, and I've been coming down to Florida in February since then. Last Sunday, I went to the UU church in Fort Myers. Been there several times. And I was here about 4 years ago. So it's nice to be back.
Nice to have you back.
Hi, my name is Nix, they, them pronouns. I recently moved to Florida from Pennsylvania, and I have been here for about 3 months and felt called to this church, even though I live in Sarasota, and it is a beautiful community, and I just wanted to thank you all for being so welcoming. This is my second Sunday. I have been a UU for 3 years. My church up in Pennsylvania was my family and how I got through the last 3 years of the pandemic and a time of grieving and grief and loss. And so I am very excited to grow within this community and hope I can find a home here too.
Thanks, Nick. So glad you're here.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Helt, visiting from Crozet, Virginia, which is a small town west of Charlottesville. We're here visiting again this year, and I usually like to come to church here while I'm visiting. Thank you.
Great, welcome. About once a month, oh, never mind. Oh, we got one more front row. Thanks, William.
That's okay. Sorry to interrupt. My name is Nikki. I'm here from Largo, and my claim to fame is that I used to play in a band with Trish Harding.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're getting some waves and some love. So last week we tried ASL applause. We're going to try that about once a month for those who prefer less applause in the worship service. So this week we're back to applause, so feel free. It is not required, but if you feel moved to put your hands together, feel free to do so. And how many of you think it's pretty wonderful that we have children in the worship service? Because I do, yeah, right? Good to see you guys. Welcome back. Just so that you know, the kiddos go to their religious education classes after a few minutes, right after our time for all ages. So if some of you don't love the additional musical noises provided by our kids, you only have to wait a couple minutes.
Thank you for silencing your cell phones if you haven't already. Our evolving safety protocol is designed to protect the most vulnerable Masks are strongly encouraged, but they are optional in our worship service. Let's take a moment to greet our neighbor. Remember to get consent if you're going to hug someone or shake their hand.
Eli, that's your cue. Eli. There you are. All right.
In the spirit of light glowing in our children, their joy, the light they give to cleansing up the space junk left by the greed of their elders. May the light of the spirit of our children glow forever with joy as we spend our first few years teaching them to walk and to talk, and then telling them to shut up and sit down. Ben and Ellie are going to light our chalice. I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in the text chat. Feel free to follow along with the hand movements. A hand to the heart, and then reaching out like as in serving others. Love is the spirit of church. Serve his law as our great covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and love one another. Please rise as you are willing and able for our first hymn. There is more love somewhere. It's number 95 in the gray hymnal.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. Peace. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. More joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
You may be seated. I want to welcome any children. Are we bringing them forward, or are they staying with us, Janae? We're bringing them forward. I want to welcome any children forward for Time for All Ages, led by our Director of Religious Education and Communications, Janae Johnson. And while they're coming forward, I'm going to show you this book and ask you if you've ever heard the song, "If I were a moose and you were a cow, would you love me anyhow? Would you listen?" Yeah, you've heard it. Would you introduce me to your folks? Would you tell your friends no moose jokes? That is a song by my cousin and our former minister, the minister who married us, Reverend Fred Small. It's a true story about a moose and a cow who found love. And that is my introduction of our Time for All Ages.
Thank you so much, Ben. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh, wow, it's way more people than I thought. See, sitting at the front, you can't see. Good morning. So that story Ben just shared inspired this poem that I wanted to share with you all this morning. It's basically about nature and how we connect with nature, and love doesn't have to match. Like, what is that? So it's called Nature, Oh Nature. Nature, oh nature, why don't you make sense? Why does the squirrel run so fast on the fence? He runs and plays with blue jays all day, hiding nuts with woodpeckers in the storage of food soiree. Oh nature, how can a moose love a cow? They both come from different walks of life, but somehow they found each other, love like no other, sang side by side through winter and summer. I like your shoes, you're super sparkly. I wanted to come down at their level. Nature sure shows love in many, many ways. Love doesn't have to match like what the media says. Love can look like, I love you all. I love you, Gigi. I love you, Caitlin. Happy belated birthday. Look like, I love you too. Love can also look like, you love me too. Love can vary in many complexions of colors. Like one time before and some today, some traditions said no to others. But if my skin looks like this and their skin looks like that, why can't love just be? No hassle, no frack. Oxpeckers show love by pecking picker bugs from the grazers. Have you seen those, the grazeland animals in the Sahara and the birds sitting on top picking bugs off of it? Have you seen that before? You haven't seen that? I want to show you something. I'll show you a picture in the class. Some birds even show love by being a dentist and alligator. Now that's bravery. Even dogs have found friendship with cheetahs in care. If nature shows love anywhere, why restrict love? That's not fair. Some people are husband to husband, some wife to wife. Saying no to love is like taking breath away from life. In our times of sadness, hurt, and pain, love is there, always, always to save the day. We are beautifully painted by the love that brought us here. From family love to loving nature, all things near and dear, and of course, queer. There is no superior, no this nor that. We are not a melting pot. We are like a salad. A salad, right? Because it has so many mixture of things, right? Jane Elliott said it best. We need our carrots and lettuce. Our bakings depend on our very essence. Imagine if the entire word were the same. Bland it would be. Our unique in nature represents our love untamed. Our skin on the surface may vary in different hues, but underneath our sternum, our hearts pump red and blue. We are unique like fingerprints and tree stumps too. Can you guys show your fingerprints? Let me see your fingerprints. This way. From the tiniest seed to the largest tree, I love you. But now for this part, we're going to give a hand with rolling that wagon around and collect some food. Can I get some helpers? Let's stand up on our feet. Come on up. Thank you all very much. Come on forth. You going to help me too? You want a wagon? Okay, the wagon's over there. You want to help too?
Go now in peace, go now in peace. Everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, may the spirit of love surround you. Everywhere, everywhere you may go. Everyone who brought food for the monthly food collection, please pass it to the center so the children can pick it up. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, everyone. That is a very heavy wagon. Now we come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube Live, we haven't forgotten you. You are still here with us. And so please put your joys and your sorrows into the text chat. Those of you here in the building, if you haven't already filled out a card like this, there's still time. You can do that, and then maybe someone will helpfully run it up or roll it up here. Right now, Patty Kane Wood, thank you, Patty, will place a stone in the water for each one that was submitted this week.
Earl, this one is from Earl. Happy Valentine's Day to all those at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg for showing me love.
Then I'll go to the ones in the script. Are we doing the cards first and then the script? We're doing the card script, okay. No, you have one in the script from Jeff.
Oh.
But I will say my stone, which is a stone of gratitude for Jerry Humphrey Gates, who I saw with food a second ago. Yep, there's Jerry. Jerry has been the greeter team lead since the fall when we desperately needed help with that. She has done an absolutely spectacular job doing that, working tirelessly, working with heart, with her mind, with her connection to the other greeters and to the rest of us. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Jerry, for your leadership with the greeters. We really appreciate it.
And a stone of joy from Jeff Bamborough, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, who tells us that Peter Elam fixed the PA system in Gilmore. Now it works. Maybe.
It really works.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe have Jeff or someone speak to us from Gilmore at this point saying we have a PA system that works.
Yeah, I didn't set that up.
Or something. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Stone of joy from Mike, who is thankful for all the amazing artists who put on the second Saturday Art Walk to make this such a beautiful and fun place.
And a stone from Joanne Kellner, a stone of sorrow for all the people affected by the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. A stone of thanks for my new job. A stone of ticked offness at my trailer park because they're forcing me to make a month's worth of cosmetic improvements to my home in only 2 weeks, when I don't have the money, the time, or the strength to do it. Also, someone stole a potted tree out of my front yard.
Stone of sorrow from Jane and Mason, who say our prayers for our Woodson warrior scholar Demetrius, whose mother died suddenly yesterday.
May we also continue.
Oh, sorry, I do have one more. Yeah, I didn't know if you had another. This is going to be 2 stones of joy, both from Susan Gore. One for the jam-packed Lady in Red dance last night in Gulfport, benefiting the Sonia Plotnick Women's Health Fund. I think several of you were there. And then the second stone for Colette Bancroft's big Tampa Bay Times article today on the Read Out Festival of LGBTQ Literature next weekend at the Gulfport Library.
May we also continue working for universal health care in this nation, so no one need worry about the financial burden in receiving needed health care.
So may all who face challenges find a comforting and compassionate presence in the warmth of fellowship and community. Let's place one final stone, Patty, for all those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender to be spoken out loud. And let's take about a minute of silence together. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. So let's rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots Holy Ghost, bring, set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I want to welcome Pat Fling and John Motter. And also, if anyone who is a FAST Network member, if you could come to the front and be recognized as we commission you. Today's a special day at UU St. Pete. Many of you know that we are especially involved in a justice initiative through a partnership with FAST, which stands for Faith in Action with Strength Together. This year we're sending forth some amazing folks, some of whom are here, some of whom couldn't be here today. They're going to represent our church, and they're going to ensure that we are living out our mission to do justice.
Do you, the network members of the UU St. Pete FAST Network, promise to side with justice and fight for equality? If so, please say, I do.
Will you attend the 4 major FAST meetings this year and agree to represent UU St. Pete at those meetings to the best of your ability? I will.
Will you commit to attend the Nehemiah Action on March 27th and bring 3 people with you?
I will.
We present to you Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, our 2023 FAST Network members. Again, some are here and some are not, but I'm going to say all their names. Pat Baxter Petralia, Ruth Bentley, David and Karen Cole, Kelly DeGraw, Tony De Silva, Ariana Drew.
Pete Elam and Linda Paul, David Hu, Jerry Humfer Gates, Sabine Van Alek, Amy Jackson, and Mary Neal Jones.
Bill Motter, Geneva Nelson, Kelly Patent, Rich Randolph, Isabel and Prem Thayer, Rebecca Wilson, Kelly DeGraw.
I believe also, but I could be wrong, Beth Fountain, Lauren Penny, and Sandra Weeks. Congregation, do you support these FAST Network members as they do their essential justice work? If so, please say, we do. Great. Will you get on the bus with them, either literally or figuratively, and attend the Nehemiah Action on March 27th? That's at least half of you. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Thank you, FAST Network members. Thank you for your work. I'd like to welcome the choir to the stage. you, UU St. Pete Choir. Our theme for February is love. We began last week by the difficult topic of love loss. Freddie the Leaf learned that you never really die, you just change shape. And Natalie taught us that when love can't go one place, we can choose to bring it everywhere. This week's worship service is entitled Unsanctioned Love, and we'll begin by talking about the same-sex love that seems to be so threatening to so many conservatives. Lucinda shared a meme with me this week from Facebook. It was from a woman named Kate P., who said she was, quote, forced to explain homosexuality to her kids, ages 3 and 4, because their uncle is gay. Kate says this incredibly difficult and traumatic experience went as follows. Child: why does Uncle Bob go everywhere with Pete? Mom: because they're in love, just like Mommy and Daddy are. Child: oh, can I have a biscuit? Kate ends by saying, we're all scarred for life. Scarred, I tell you. Yet some of my conservative colleagues from other denominations use their pulpit to rail against homosexuality, and others take a different tone, claiming to love the sinner, have you heard this, while hating the sin. I'll return to that later. Our denomination and this church have a history of siding with love against homophobia and against heterosexism. Many of you here are married to your same-sex life partner, marriages that were unsanctioned by the church or the state until recently. I should say by many churches in the state, because Unitarian ministers have a history of performing same-sex marriages and civil unions dating back to the 1950s. Our denomination was the first to pass a resolution against homophobia in 1970, followed by one supporting same-sex unions in 1984, then marriage equality in 1996. More recently, several UU ministers, including our minister, Reverend Fred Small, refused to sign marriage licenses until marriage equality was the law of the land, the so-called marriage license moratorium. So Lucinda and my marriage certificate for a few years, at any rate, was a collector's item. So he wasn't signing them. Fred told our congregation about two women named Sharon Kowalski and Karen Thompson. They were two life partners from Minnesota. Kowalski was hit by a drunk driver in 1983 and suffered brain damage. Once the accident happened, Thompson revealed their relationship to Kowalski's father, who promptly denied any further contact between them. Sharon Thompson was only able to see her life partner after a $300,000 legal battle, one which would have been completely unnecessary if the couple had the opportunity to be legally married. And knowing this, Lucinda and I weren't sure we wanted to get married in 2001, since doing so would provide state sanctioning for our marriage that our friends were denied at the time. And in the end, we decided to get married in 2001, but included a vow to work for marriage equality as part of our wedding ceremony. And work we did, joining hundreds of other Unitarian Universalists to lobby our state legislature. Now, those days at the Massachusetts State House were intense. Conservative churches bussed in hundreds of parishioners, all opposed to marriage equality. UUs stood holding hands with one another, like 2 feet from our marriage equality opponents, also holding hands with one another. They were jam-packed rooms with hundreds and hundreds of us. Our opponents were yelling in our faces, "One man, one woman, one man, one woman," to which we responded by singing "America the Beautiful," led by a drag queen, over and over again. Finally, marriage equality became the law of the state in 2004 and the law of the United States in 2015. Now, as UUs, our support for marriage equality was political, but also spiritual and theological. And so was the opposition. Our chanting opponents relied on their particular biblical interpretation for support, but also on the patriarchal notion of the nuclear family as one man, one woman, with the man at the head of the family, calling the shots. Now, interracial love was also once banned in this country, particularly here in the South. And to this day, if you have the audacity to fall in love with someone from a different race, you face scorn and even violence from both white communities and communities of color. When the aptly named Mildred and Richard Loving got married, they were prosecuted by a Virginia law against miscegenation. But in 1967, their marriage and all interracial marriage was declared constitutional by the Supreme Court. Now, those of you familiar with U.S. history shouldn't be surprised by miscegenation laws. After all, our country was founded on land stolen from Native Americans, our infrastructure built by black chattel slaves, our railroads built by Chinese and other Asian indentured servants, our farms tended by Latinx underpaid farm workers. Love between the races threatens the notion of white supremacy on which this country is founded, and the theological notion that some are more worthy of love than others. Of course, when human beings get to know one another, we tend to fall in love, whether or not the person is of our race, whether or not that love is sanctioned by the state or by our religion. Sanctions against love go so against human nature that it required centuries of laws to uphold it, these sanctions. And even now, white supremacy is so counterintuitive that conservatives have to ban the teaching of our young people in this state. Yes, I'm talking about the ban on AP Black History again. It is a ban, really, on seeing black people as human beings with an important history. And if you don't see someone as fully human, it's easier to discriminate against them. It's easier to say, you shouldn't fall in love with someone like that. White supremacy is backed up by bad theology, just like homophobia and heterosexism is. American slave owners would cherry-pick Bible passages they read to slaves, emphasizing lessons on obedience and submission, and leaving out passages emphasizing freedom and resistance. These slave owners banned slaves from learning to read at all and from holding their own worship services, but despite these bans, slaves taught themselves to read and held their own worship services. The legacy of those worship services has been inherited by churches like the historic Bethel AME Church right down the street behind me. And the core of slave owner theology and homophobic theology is this: some people are less worthy of love than others. Now, our UU theology tells us that every person has an inherent worth and dignity, not just white people, not just heterosexuals. And here at UU St. Pete, our work with FAST that we just demonstrated and our work with the racial justice team is the work of love. Our liberal religion tells us that we are all interconnected. Loving one another across racial divides is not only inevitable, it's theologically consistent with our principles. Now, some of you remember the Grace Christian School across Tampa Bay from us in Hillsborough County. Last August, that school said any student who is gay or trans will be kicked out. We at UU St. Pete responded by recording a video saying any gay or trans student kicked out of Grace Christian School was welcome here at our church. These Christians follow the quote, "Love the sinner, hate the sin" school of homophobia and transphobia. they mistaken, and I'm talking about Grace Christian Church in particular, but also in general, they mistakenly treat being LGBTQIA+ as a choice rather than as an identity. Their love for their students is conditional. Like our opponents in Massachusetts chanting, "One man, one woman." These Christians love their kids only if they, quote, "pray the gay away." This kind of bad theology doesn't create more heterosexuals. It only creates more gay and trans kids who hate themselves, who wrongly think they are unworthy of love, contemplate, too often complete, suicide. Homophobic and transphobic theology is not just bad theology, it's theology with a body count. Loving LGBTQIA+ kids and adults helps create a world shaped by love rather than by oppression. And here at UU St. Pete, we are called to side with love. We are called to provide a safe haven for those in our state who are ostracized, who are unsanctioned, and who are deemed unworthy of love. Our mission to side with love can change our state, can change the world, make it safer, make it more loving. Conservative Christians and other conservatives claim to value love. Quoting 1 Corinthians of faith, hope, and love, the greatest of these is love. Yet their vision of love is conditional and narrow. The love of one man for one woman, usually the same race, with the man at the head of this nuclear family. And this narrow notion of love is threatened by marriage equality, interracial love, love of a trans person, polyamory. A spouse giving and receiving love and connection outside of marriage is threatening to a controlling and abusive partner. And it's threatening to patriarchy as a whole. Loving someone fat threatens the diet industry and patriarchal standards of beauty. Loving someone disabled threatens ableism. Loving someone non-binary threatens that same patriarchal notion of one man, one woman. Loving one's enemy threatens the military-industrial complex. Loving the world threatens leaders' attempts to divide us through fear. And giving and receiving love as a church community threatens the American notion of rugged individualism and the isolation of the family unit. But to truly love one another, to truly love ourselves, can be an act of rebellion, be an act of faith. Prior just saying to us, let inward love guide every deed. By this worship, we are freed. By this we worship and are freed. And folk singer Libby Roderick asks us, how can anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? You'll all sing it in a second. How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. I never get to go to the book discussion group, so I was so excited to finally attend a little bit of the book discussion group that happens at 9 a.m., and we were talking about the Article 2 revisions. It's too much to get into for right here, but it was interesting. One of the objections to these Article 2 revisions is it relies too much on this word love and this concept of love. And the criticism, we were told, is that it was a little too squishy. Yet the choir also just sang to us, though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, but have not love, my words are vain, as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Your loving is a miracle. Our loving is a miracle. No matter our age, no matter our orientation, no matter our race. And our love for one another can change our state, can change the world, can make it safer, and make it more loving. Like Janae told the kids, even dogs have found friendship with cheetahs and care. If nature shows love anywhere, why restrict love? That's not fair. Some people are husband to husband, some wife to wife. Saying no to love is like taking the breath from life. In our times of sadness, hurt, and pain, love is there, always, to save the day. Happy Valentine's Day. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Thank you, thank you. We now receive the generosity of your spirit to support our self-supporting church. These gifts help support many ministries through you. In the sanctuary, the offering will be given and received now.
Please rise as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, How Could Anyone Ever Tell You? It's number 1053 in the Teal hymnal. Look in someone's eyes, sing it to them. Anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving be seated. We're going to extinguish our chalice, and then we'll have some closing words. They're not by Andrew Pacula. They're by our very own William Cowan. So that was a misprint. It was my fault. I forgot to tell Kelly before we printed it. So William, if you would extinguish the chalice, that would be lovely. And we will invite you to follow along with the hand gestures, your head, your heart, and fire with the fingers as he extinguishes the chalice. The words to the chalice extinguishing are in your order of service online. I haven't forgotten about you. They're in the text chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Please remain seated as Aaron plays our postlude.
Wow. 60% of the human body is water. This planet we live on is surrounded by a bubble, which within this bubble, all the water since creation has stayed and remains the same. The glaciers, the seawater, the lake water, the spring, the body water, our body's water. A reminder that we are all the same and made of the same molecules, the same water that George Washington and his slaves drank, sweat, and passed through their kidneys. We are drinking today. Look up often, as children do, and remember to smile and live with joy. Please join us for our Valentine's Day Love is the Spirit party in Gilmore Hall. Blessings.